Dayna Martin is an author and peaceful parenting advocate, spreading the message of freedom and children's rights. Author of the books Radical Unschooling, A Revolution Has Begun, and Sexy Birth. She's been featured on the Dr. Phil Show, Nightline, 60 Minutes, The Jeff Probst Show, and most recently, ABC's hit show, Wife Swap. Her articles, videos, and TV appearances have helped thousands of families on their path to live with more freedom, peace, and joy. We hear words like rebellion and chalk it up to normalcy. But what if there was nothing to rebel against? What if we lived with the same respect for our children that we demand they have for us? What if we could recognize that punishments model injustice, and that through using power to control another person, we are teaching them to do the same? It is through loving, kindness, and understanding that children learn love and peace, and in turn will reflect this back on the world. Respecting children's rights and freedoms is a revolutionary approach to parenting and education. This is a parenting philosophy on the leading edge of new thought, yet it is rooted in instinctual wisdom. Our culture needs to realize that living with respect and freedom with our children is the most responsible way to create a peaceful world.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Try This at Home. This is Dayna Martin, coming at you live from Madison, New Hampshire, where we still have 2 feet of snow on the ground. I have no idea when winter's going to end here, but we're really looking forward to spring. Can't wait to plant gardens and really get outside and enjoy warmer weather. So, this week's been a great week for our family. We were on the show 60 Minutes Australia. It aired this past Sunday. And we've done a lot of different TV programs, my family and I have to say that this was one of the best portrayals of unschooling. There was 2 other families featured, both Australian families, and they were amazing. They were great. The producers put it together in such a way where it really was balanced and honest, and I really feel like it advocated really well for the unschooling philosophy and unschooling life. We received so much feedback. I had so many people join my author page, couple thousand after the show aired, which was amazing. I think it was the biggest response that I've ever had, and the comments and emails just are still pouring in from it. So if you haven't checked it out, you can see it by going to 60 Minutes Australia on Facebook. And they have a couple like secret little extra clips on there too, where you can see a little bit more behind the scenes and my feelings surrounding this life. So it was really great. Every week I do a parenting on the news portion, and this week what I pulled up was from the New York Times. And what it talks about is those baby soothers that parents are told to get for the baby's crib. So I'm going to read this to you now. Devices that produce soothing sounds in order to lull infants to sleep can be loud enough at maximum volume to damage their hearing, researchers reported Monday. What this is talking about is artificial mother replacements, actually. And I have been saying for years, I've been advocating for attachment parenting and children's rights for a decade now, and it's really amazing that people can't see the answer to this is for a baby to be close to its mother at night. Co-sleeping is something that's completely natural, and it's really fear-based in our culture, and I think that we try to move babies away from us in our culture. Professionals recommend you not sleeping close to your baby and saying that it's dangerous, but if co-sleeping is done right, it's not dangerous. In fact, it's so beneficial to families to co-sleep. So my babies never needed any artificial mother replacements. My breathing and heart rate was all they needed to lull themselves to sleep. So this article goes on just to say how dangerous they are, and they're recalling a lot of them because babies have been damaged by them, and it's just kind of a given to me. Like, yeah, use the real thing. Babies sleep with your mothers. Breastfeeding's easier. Babies are healthier. They gain more weight. It's just totally the way to go. So do a Google search on co-sleeping if you're interested in learning more. This week on the show, I have a couple of guests. I have a woman calling in from Canada. Her name is Shannon, and she's going to share her journey to unschooling. She pulled her daughter from school this week. It was really recently, so I'm anxious for you guys to all meet her and hear what she has to say about her journey, because I think there's probably a lot of people listening who are considering this. They're considering these options that I'm sharing. They'd really love to parent in a freer way, in a more respectful way. So let's talk to Shannon right now. Hi, Shannon. Welcome to the show. Are you there? You can unmute your...
Okay. Hi, I'm here.
Hi. So happy to have you here and try this at home.
Wonderful. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. We're getting a little bit of an echo. Do you have headphones you could wear?
No, I do not.
It's okay. We'll work with it. It seems to have died down a little bit. So welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you on. I think there's so many people listening that are considering unschooling and looking into this option and researching. And you're someone who is fairly new to this life, but at the same time, you had told me earlier that it's been an incredible 10-year journey for you. Do you want to share a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Well, honestly, I think the seed was first planted for me when I was 20 years old. Instead of going to college, I traveled for a couple years. I traveled through British Columbia and Hawaii, where I lived. And I remember back then, like, I met a couple beautiful families, and they were living like such a free life, and they were unschooling their children. And what I remember was how connected and respectful and happy their families were together. And I always said to myself back then, like, I vividly remember saying, like, if I was to ever have children, this is a life that I would want to live. But obviously a lot happens in life, and I feel like I'm just starting to get to that point now after many years.
Right. And how many kids do you have, Shannon?
I have 3 children. I have a 9-year-old, I have a 7-year-old, and a 19-month-old.
And you've been corresponding with me for a couple days, and that's what gave me the idea to have you on. You just seem so happy and so passionate about this life. What happened this week that led to that? You said your daughter came home from being in school for a couple of years?
Yes, my daughter's been in school since grade 1 through grade 4. She's always liked it. I've kind of been unschooling my son just since September because he was never one that really liked school. He always had a really hard time, and he was stressed at the age of 5 trying to learn to read. And so it felt really good this past September taking him out. But just in the past couple of weeks, my daughter's really been expressing an interest to stay home with us. So that's what we've been doing. And yeah, we're all having a really good time together.
What was the experience like when you decided to take her out? Was she excited? Like, how did that all happen?
She was excited, and yet at the same time, she was a little bit fearful. You know, like, there's days when she's been home and we've had great times together, and then there's other moments where, you know, it's like she's so used to that routine of school where we find it challenging, you know. But lots of outdoor time really benefits us all.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what have been your challenges?
Well, I guess feeling lots of resistance from family members. You know, I just had someone come over the other day, and, you know, Jade was home from school. I hadn't even really expressed that she was going to be coming, you know, staying home with us. But, you know, her first remark was like, "Oh, Jade, you have to be in school." And, you know, so obviously dealing with the emotions that arise within myself, like those beliefs that we have to be in school to learn, you know, it's like just dealing with my own thoughts and my beliefs and all my emotions, and really like having to let them go and just recognize that there's other ways of living. And I'm excited.
Oh, I love to hear your excitement. I love the messages you send me. It's so wonderful. Just yesterday I was at Ivy's gymnastics class, and I met this woman, and it was so interesting. I always forget how people kind of portray those of us living this life. She was so super nice, and she said, "Oh, I saw you on Wife Swap, and I follow your work, and boy, would I love to be doing what you're doing, but I just am so nervous. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I have it within me." And then it hit me how much self-confidence it really takes as a parent to walk this path. Do you feel like that's been a struggle for you, or are you feeling more and more confident? What has been your...
I'm definitely feeling much more confident. You know, like years ago, I tried to do it. You know, I kept Jade out of kindergarten, and I was going to do it, but I was a single mom at the time. So obviously being a single mom and raising 2 children and trying to be, the parent, the teacher. It was very challenging. So that's when Jade went into school, but she really enjoyed it. But I wasn't at that point back then. I wasn't strong enough. I feel like I didn't have the support. But just recently I moved to a new city and I've connected with like homeschoolers and unschoolers. And I feel like that's something major that you have to do. It's like you have to connect with like-minded people that are doing it. And that's what boosts your confidence and recognizing that others are living this life. And why can't we be living a life like this as well? It's like, it definitely takes a lot of confidence. And there's days, just a couple of days ago, I was feeling a lot of challenge and I was wondering, like, what am I doing? And the kids were arguing and, I feel like they're a reflection of me sometimes. When I'm feeling a little chaotic, they're chaotic. But, I kind of reached out and connected with some friends and obviously I wrote to you. And just feeling, hearing your feedback, it gives me the confidence to know that I'm walking the right path and I'm being true to myself and my children.
Oh, that's so awesome, Shannon. Thank you. So do you have any advice that you want to offer parents that might be considering unschooling and taking their kids out of school?
I feel like, if you want to do it, you have to do it. Like, I don't know, we have so many fears in our society, and that's one of the major things is like just releasing society's expectations, because there's so many expectations out there. But if we can release that and just be confident to walk our own path and in being confident with not knowing what to expect. It's like every day, I'm like, what are we going to do today? And it's like, you feel like, I don't know, my ex-husband, it's like he wants to see a curriculum because he wants to see what they're learning. But just to allow it to naturally unfold, it's like you see them learning from day to day. And I feel like just being present with your children and connecting with them, and that's some of the most important things you can do.
Totally. I agree. Yeah, I can tell you do. I love chatting with you earlier about it, and I've enjoyed the correspondence. So thank you so much. I definitely think that advice of connecting with other people, and I think pursuing your own passions is a really important aspect of this life. Do you feel like walking this path has inspired you to continue your own learning and whatever you're drawn to?
You know what? Honestly, I think that's what it is. I think we individually as parents, we have our own passions. I feel like that's actually perhaps something that holds us back from, going further with our family and pursuing our passions. Like 2 years ago, I quit my day job, my secure job that I had for the past 15 years. I quit it. I had to. I'd been wanting to leave it for years, but I knew I had other passions to pursue. And it was scary because at the time I was still somewhat of a single parent. But I did it, and you know what? I would never look back. So, since I've moved, I'm now working at this homeopathic care clinic. I've connected with beautiful, inspiring women, and now I feel I have the confidence to pursue other passions, and that's allowing my children to, follow their passions, and I think that's what we need to do.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much, Shannon. I can hear your family in the background. I love the joyful noise coming from everyone having fun. Well, thanks so much. Yeah. Thanks for carving out some time for us tonight, and I look forward to connecting with you online. So thanks for calling.
Dayna.
You're so welcome, Shannon. Bye.
Have a wonderful night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in and listening to me connect with Shannon. She is such an inspiring mother, and I get emails and messages from women and fathers like her all the time who are new to this life, and they're exploring it and dealing with challenges and overcoming them. I think that a lot of people feel like curriculum is a safety net. They feel like if they have a curriculum, they've done their job, and they try to force their kids to, or coerce their kids to do the work in the curriculum, but it's never a guarantee. I heard an analogy once of that homeschooling with a curriculum is kind of like being in a swimming pool and holding onto the edge of the pool, just to make sure you don't nothing bad happens. But unschooling is like being in the deep end and treading water and just trusting. And it does definitely feel like that for people. It's really an illusion that working for someone else or using a curriculum is going to guarantee anything. Because in truth, I feel like life is about happiness and joy. And if you're happy and doing what you love, it leads to success. It's not the other way around. I'm sure a lot of you have heard that quote that success is the key to happiness, but I really believe that happiness is the key to success. So that's what I'm guided by in my life, or my children pursuing their passions. So on that note, I'd love to introduce you to my two other guests for tonight's show. It is my son, Devin. He's 14, and his friend, our friend, Xavier, who's almost 16. So Devin, do you want to share anything about yourself before we get started?
Hello, I'm Devin, and I am 14, as you heard. And I am a blacksmith, and yeah, I don't know.
I know, it's always like live radio is so intense for everybody. What did you think, Deb, of the, I'll ask you, just because I mentioned it earlier, but the 60 Minutes episode that we were on, what did you think of it compared to some other stuff that we've done with TV?
Well, I really liked it. Like unlike some of the other stuff that we've done, the guys that came over, the crew were really nice, and they really seemed to kind of get what we were doing, and it was short. It was only a couple hours, so I didn't get a lot out of it, but I liked how it was finished and how it came out. I think it was a pretty good message.
Good. I know we did Nightline, which was a couple years ago with Juju Chang, and she was here, and she kind of quizzed Devin, and that became like the kind of famous thing from that show that people were criticizing, is she put you on the spot to do this like crazy math problem.
Yeah.
And you were like, it was like so much pressure, and you weren't expecting that when you say yes. I mean, anytime we have any opportunity and people connect with us and ask us to be interviewed, we always stay with the yes energy, and it's never led us wrong. Every opportunity leads to another opportunity to advocate. And I can see in the last 8 years that we've been doing work in TV that it is changing. Our culture is becoming more receptive. These stories are becoming more balanced and honest. And I absolutely love that the host of the show was so receptive and really into learning about it. So it was a great experience. Xavier's here too. Xavier's been a friend of the family for several years now. Her mother, Christina, and I are in business together. We have a raw food personal chef and catering business that we've done for a couple of years. And yeah, so Xavier, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Xavier. I've been out of school for 5 years now, and my passions are photography and music and just any kind of art I really enjoy.
Yeah, I wanted to just mention to the listeners that Devin and Xavier are here as resources for you. They are so happy to answer whatever questions you have to the best of their ability. The call-in number tonight is 1-718-717-8296. Please don't hesitate to call. I think people are always so curious to find out what unschooled teens are like. I mean, the further we go down this path in our culture, these kids, these free kids are growing up. Devin has never been to school, and he's never been punished, and so he'd be a great resource maybe to dispel some of your fears and myths. I'll ask both you guys, whoever wants to answer, feel free to answer, but what are like the most common questions people ask you?
There's a lot. It's kind of hard to think of the most common one.
Mine's probably like, how do you learn, or how do you make friends and meet people?
Yeah. How do you learn is pretty much, or I got a lot of math ones. How do you learn math?
Right.
That's a lot of it for me.
And one thing I do share on the show and in my work is that reading, writing, and math are all tools to help you get more of what you want in life, and you learn them as you go. So I know just from watching you that you've learned so much math as a side effect of pursuing your passions and interests as a blacksmith and a craftsman. I mean, there's calculators, so you have access to those when you need to.
I usually don't use calculators, though. I prefer to use my head. I feel like I learn a little bit better that way.
Yeah, definitely. So what about the friends question? How do you guys make friends? I mean, some of these, it feels a little funny to ask the questions that I know the answers to. But at the same time, I kind of need to for the sake of the audience listening, so I don't mean to sound condescending or strange asking them. I'm just asking you, so how do you make friends?
So a lot of it's at unschooling conferences. I make a lot of friends there, and then we usually keep in touch over the internet. That's pretty much it. I don't hang out with a lot of other people. I just like to make friends at unschooling conferences.
Yeah, you've always been more of a loner socially, I think, than, like, say, Tiffany. Tiffany's always been extremely social. She's my 12-year-old. She loves being around a lot of people. She has a lot of friends. You have a lot of, like, fans from the TV shows we've done. I think you have a lot of people that connect with you. There's even, like, a web page somebody made, like Devin Martin fan page, and you're so humble about it, and you're so sweet about it.
I don't like it.
You don't?
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I know. It's weird that people would look at you as some kind of, like, unschooling celebrity in a sense, but the truth is you're just a really nice, kind, down-to-earth person, and people are drawn to you. So I think making friends for you has always seemed really easy, but it's interesting, even in this day and age, that relationships seem to be really fostered over, like, Skype, phone, and when unschoolers get together, in my experience, it's for, like, long periods of time. I think when I was a kid, you'd go sleep over somebody's house or go spend a couple hours because there was school and other obligations, but it seems like unschoolers spend a lot of time together when they do get together. Like Xavier's spending several nights here with us, which is really normal. So, Xavier, how do you make friends? Or how have you?
I make a lot of my friends on the internet, and because it's easier to meet, like, photographer friends that way. And I met my best friend Nev that way, and then we got together at one of the conferences, and it was just really great. And I think you get to know people a lot more from the internet because there's not, like, that social barrier that you feel like you can't, it feels like you can open up to them a lot easier.
Yeah.
For me, at least.
Yeah, and I mean, you do get together with people in person as well, so the internet kind of just aids in building the relationships and maintaining them. But I've seen photos of you, like, going to photography gatherings in Boston and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I went to one in Washington and a couple others.
It's great. So it sounds like you guys make friends based on your interests and all different ages, would you say?
Mm-hmm. Like, I was just in California filming a movie, and I had friends that were, like, I have friends that are 8 years old, and I have friends that are, like, 80 years old.
That's so great. I mean, without age segregation, it opens up your options hugely. People think that when you're not in school, you're going to be some kind of socially awkward person, and that's the number one question I get as a homeschooling parent is, how do you socialize and so forth? And I don't know any unschooler that's struggled with that necessarily. I think it's wonderful to be able to perfectly cater each of your children's social needs to them. Like where Devin's just really content. He goes over his friend's house for a couple weeks at a time, and his friends come over here. Yeah, I mean, I think, do you guys feel like your needs are met socially?
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
Like you said, I'm a bit of a loner. I don't really feel the need to have a ton of friends all the time. I feel I get along with myself really well, you know, and I like being alone sometimes, and I like being with friends sometimes.
I love that. You mentioned a few things I want to touch on. For one, it's important to point out that most unschooled teens, and when I'm talking about unschooling, I'm referring to radical unschooling or whole life unschooling, or in other words, children living in a partnership parenting paradigm, as opposed to the authoritarian parenting paradigm, which is the more traditional parenting dynamic. And you guys don't deal with rebellion, which blows people's minds because we think it's a given. You have kids and you're told once they're teenagers that you're going to deal with rebellion, and that's not something I've ever experienced with you, Devin, and Xavier. I'm not sure if your mother's ever dealt with that for you, but when there's nothing to rebel against, it's a whole different situation. How do you guys feel about your parents?
Well, I feel like I get along with you and Dad a lot better than, mainstream people do, I guess, because I'm not punished or anything. I think that makes us a lot more like friends than, I'm not your friend, I'm your parent. That's saying it's not really true with our relationship.
Right. I love that you point that out. That was actually a topic of discussion this week in a few different forums. And it's not what I think people think that when a parent says that or a child says that their parent's friend, that somehow you want to be some kind of cool parent. You want to be in with the cool kids because you had some issues when you were a teen and weren't accepted and you're making up for that or something. And it's not that. I don't want to be cool in my children's eyes. I just want them to know they can turn to me anything, but they still look to us as leaders in their lives, and I guess more like trusted resources where they know that we're there for them. And what about you, Xavier? Your parents, and you get along well?
Yeah, I'm really good friends with my mom. Well, that sounded kind of weird, but like we talk about everything and stuff, and it's not awkward or whatever. Like I know I can come to her with anything, and yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's a really different experience. I was talking to the kids about earlier that Devin's had a piercing before, which people that saw the Wife Swap episode saw him get that, and he's had his ears pierced, which isn't that radical. But Xavier actually has tattoos, and Devin and Xavier went to Peru together for how many weeks?
It was like
almost
3
months.
I think it was like
10
6.
weeks.
Really?
Well, it seemed like a really long time for me to have you gone.
I don't even remember how long it was.
It was like the longest time I've ever been away from you. It was hard. I missed you so much, but I knew you were having fun. They went with a few other unschooled teens and a couple adult chaperones, and they had an amazing time. And during that time, tattoos do not have an age limit, do they there, or is there?
No.
There's not a set age limit, like they don't patrol it, but I'm pretty sure it's 18 still.
Really?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the signs were like, because only tourists really get tattoos there, because locals are kind of, like, they don't.
Yeah.
They might, I don't know, but.
Right, it's just not as common. It's just maybe not.
Yeah, but like they say, like, no kids under 18, but like you can't really tell what they decide.
They don't have, you don't have to sign anything or anything.
Yeah, like you don't need to show an ID or anything.
They just don't even care.
So Christina was really supportive of your mom of you getting tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you said that a couple of people, when you were in public, took pictures of you recently.
Yeah, I was at a tattoo convention in Boston, and I was just in the food court, and some people were taking pictures of me. But I used to dye my hair like outrageous colors. I had pink and blue and all that.
I remember that.
And people would always kind of do it in public. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, definitely I think unschoolers stand out, but it's such an interesting concept because when a child, or when most kids are in school, most children, you see a kid with tattoos or piercings or leather or, looking a little wild, I think that we judge them in our culture as bad or rebellious or something's wrong with them or they're against society. But I feel like unschoolers use these kind of things as a form of expression instead of a lot of anger. A lot of the reasons why a lot of kids in school get them to kind of stand out. You guys do it because it feels right to you. So you both definitely stand out in a crowd. You don't follow any trends that I've seen. You both are into like modifying your own clothing and even making your own clothing more recently. What inspired you guys to do that? And don't you feel any pressure to like fit in with trends and so forth?
Not so much really because I don't have any friends that like are very trendy and follow all that kind of stuff. I have more alternative friends. So I don't really feel that pressure. But, yeah.
Same with me. I don't have any friends that are into any trends like that either. It's the same exact situation.
Right.
Even if I did, I still don't think that they'd influence me to do that,
Right. So you're definitely your own people, and I love that. We were talking earlier about self-confidence as parents when I was chatting with Shannon, and I think the self-confidence for a child or teen living this life is really, really, your self-esteem is intact. You don't have it robbed from you. You're not forced to obey a higher authority. You never really lose who you are, like so many of us lost going through the system and being parented more traditionally. So I love that. You don't have to act any different. When I was on Wife Swap and I went to the other family's house, Jory, the 17-year-old that I was with, that I was substitute mother for, had friends over for a party, and the father, Andre, said how different Jory was acting around them. Like he never saw that side of him. He never saw that part of his son. And I've never seen you, Devin, or experienced unschoolers that necessarily act any different from around adults or their parents and their friends. Do you ever have any pressure to feel?
No, I don't. I mean, I'm just myself around everybody, and I don't know why I wouldn't be.
You turned into quite a comedian too. It was when we were preparing for the show, everybody. We're trying to nail down like what the focus is going to be, and Devin was cracking so many jokes we barely got through it. So
it took us like 2 hours.
And we're still kind of flying by the seat of our pants, but it's what unschoolers do best, so we are going to go with the flow of everything here. So again, please feel free to call in with any questions for Devin and Xavier at 1-718-717-8296. We'd love to hear from any listeners, even if you just want to comment. And there's no question that's silly or stupid because we're here for a resource, so call in with anything. You guys have some pretty interesting hobbies and passions. You touched on them a little bit, but Devin, what even inspired you to do blacksmithing?
Well, I do remember when I was younger, I made a sword with the bonfire on a rock with a nail hammer. Do you remember that? And then
Yeah.
And I always thought, this is just doing this for fun. There's no way I'm ever going to be a real blacksmith or anything because the equipment costs thousands of dollars and all that, and that is true. But when I was in Peru, I was watching a couple of videos by a primitive survival kind of guy, and he started doing some blacksmithing, and I was like, I guess I'll watch this, and I saw how easy it is to get started. You don't need fancy equipment. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll just try this, and I did, and I loved it, so we got into contact with that other blacksmith across the street, and he gave me an anvil, and I built my own forge, and that's all I really needed.
Yeah, it's amazing what you do when you can put your mind to it, and I realized you had learned through YouTube videos, we got you some books.
Mm-hmm. Books were a big help, probably as much as the internet was, really.
Well, I love that you guys have the option to learn in the way that feels best to you, because everybody's a different type of learner. Some are more visual, some are more, able to learn from the written word. I'm definitely a visual learner.
Me too.
But the books go to a certain detail, you said, that sometimes videos and internet don't. So that's really cool. So it's kind of my role as an unschooling parent is to facilitate my children's learning. I don't tell them what to learn at certain times. I just follow their lead. It's a really hands-on role. So when Devin was exploring it, we did everything we could to bring as many resources into his life as possible to learn and grow about blacksmithing. And he's evolved so much. I mean, you even have an Etsy store now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I sell some knives on my Etsy store, and cutting boards, and that's pretty much it right now. Just knives and cutting boards, and yeah, the cutting boards are my main source of income because all moms like them. Not a lot of people like hand-forged knives, really, but
yeah, cutting boards are more useful than swords. Yeah. Swords are like a collector's
thing. Well, a lot
of
people are like, hand-forged knives are so expensive when the machine-made ones are better, but they're not. They just don't know about knives.
Yeah, you've given me a few lessons when you've been out there forging, for sure. So what's the name of your Etsy store?
Willow Ironworks.
So visit Devin's Etsy store, Willow Ironworks. Check out his stuff. Connect. Make suggestions. He does a lot of he can do custom things.
I'll make pretty much anything you want to.
One thing that we've always told our kids is they never have to work for anybody else. And children in school are conditioned to not necessarily follow their bliss at all. I'm sure maybe there's very well-intentioned parents at home that want them to be able to do that and have that freedom, but school has really taken over children's lives, and between homework, the hours and hours of homework, and all the obligations and clubs and sports and so forth that kids are signed up for, it leaves so little time to really pursue who you're meant to be in life. So that's one thing I love that these kids have is time. I mean, they woke up today with a total clean slate. We had no idea what was happening today. They went to bed late, have had a fun night. So what did you guys do today? Just like, because people ask all the time, they ask me, what's a typical day like? And I say, well, it just depends. So let's just go with today. What did you guys do?
Okay, we woke up and I watched a video about how to pursue your career in photography, and then we sat on the couch and we ate toast, and then we explored this hotel.
Yeah. You can't say the name of it yet.
Yeah. And then we came back, and I had a photo shoot with Devin and Tiffany as models.
Pretty cool.
Myself as a model also.
Yeah, your work is amazing. If any of you haven't heard of Xavier, she's an amazing photographer. What's the name of your site on Facebook?
You can just search Xavier Claire Photography.
And you want to just spell that? Xavier, anyway.
Xavia.
Yeah, do a search, or you can find her through my page online. If you need to connect with me and send me a message, I'll give you her information, because her photography is amazing. It's beautiful. It's pretty controversial, to be honest with you, and it would raise some eyebrows for some people. I think one of her latest pictures was really controversial, and she had somebody basically tell her off on her thread and block her and other things like that. And I loved how professional you were, Xavier. You didn't get reactive. You didn't get defensive. After all, Byron Katie's quote, defense is the first act of war, is something I love to always keep in my back pocket, so you never need to get defensive. And I love that you were utterly professional and respectful despite the criticism. So if you're curious as to why, go check out her site. Give her some feedback and think about hiring her. Fly her out wherever you are to set up some amazing photography for you. So that you guys had a good day. Sound like you flowed with everything. We planned this interview.
And yesterday we made...
Yeah, what'd you guys do yesterday?
Let's see. We did well, she got here yesterday, right? Or no, she got here, never mind.
You just talk about that.
Yeah, we made... Yeah.
The days kind of blend together.
Yeah. We made a lot of paper yesterday. I made 20 sheets of just white paper, and then you made a bunch of colorful paper. And also, I made you a cloak for a photo shoot. And then we did a photo shoot downstairs. And I think that was pretty much it.
And I read to you guys a series of unfortunate events.
Yeah. I want to read more of that.
I love that.
My aunt gave me that whole series. I never really looked into it, but I'm glad that it was there so you guys could use it as a resource. So let's talk about some things that are kind of controversial to parents and things that they just have a really hard time with trust-wise with their kids, and one being freedoms of certain aspects. Now, you guys have food freedom, you have media freedom, and you have bedtime freedom. Now, I know you're a little bit older than the average child, maybe, so people might be saying, well, yeah, they're teens, they can go to bed when they want, but you guys have pretty much always had these freedoms. Now, you both are really healthy. One thing I noticed. So, Xavier, what is your diet like and what inspired you? You want to share a little bit about that?
Sure. I was 11 years old, and we got a PETA flyer in the mail, and I looked at it, and there was pictures of all the animal cruelty, and I felt so bad, and I said, well, I'm just going to be vegetarian just for this weekend, just to help out. And so I pretty much just ate grilled cheese like that whole weekend. And
something I would have done.
And then I never ate meat again. I just cut it out of my life. And then eventually my whole family went vegetarian, and then I went vegan, and my whole family went vegan.
Trendsetter.
Yeah.
And so it's been a couple of years now that you guys have all been vegan?
Yeah, yeah, well, I went vegetarian when I was 11, so.
Right, so it was quite a few years ago. Mm. And Devin, your diet is really healthy too. In fact, I know you've done a lot of research yourself watching documentaries, and you and your friend Zan have watched YouTube videos about, I remember you telling me, coming home and saying, oh my gosh, you gotta see this video, you can't eat shredded cheese. It has wood pulp in it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Wood pulp? And you were right, cellulose. It's an ingredient in every shredded cheese except for the organic, healthier versions. And it's indeed wood pulp. I had no idea. So you bring me so much information. We buy, Devin is paleo to a greater extent, kind of give or take. You don't really like to label yourself necessarily because you want the freedom to be able to eat. But you eat. You're the one that really encouraged Daddy and Daddy, sorry. I just, we're casual here. Try this at home. Me and your father to buy organic free-range meats.
From the farm.
Yep. We do have a daughter, Tiffany, who's vegan, and I'm mostly raw vegan. But again, I don't like to label myself at this point in my life. However, it's extremely important to me. There are exceptions I make, like when we travel. That's why I don't feel comfortable to completely take on that label, because I like to experience.
It's possible to do that when you're traveling, kind of.
And we travel. No, because Xavier, you did
hard.
it. Yeah. Well, see, we just need more support from Xavier then. So when you were in Peru, I mean, you guys were really a lot of the times basically on your own. How did you manage to eat vegan in Peru?
Well, there was a lot of meat and stuff. If you go to restaurants, it's very hard to eat vegetarian or vegan. I remember we were at this pizza place, and I told the lady that I wanted a pizza with no cheese, and she thought it was the weirdest thing ever. And she brought me a pizza with cheese, and I had to send it back a bunch of times, and I got super angry.
Yeah, you had to send it back 4 times, so I got so mad.
And then she ended up just giving me a bread with mushrooms on it. It's really weird.
There were a couple of vegan restaurants too, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a couple vegetarian places right near us that I could walk to, which was really nice. And one day I even planned to go to all of them with Devin, but then he got sick, and so I didn't go to them. But I did visit a couple.
When you guys were in Peru, the plan was to go to Machu Picchu, and Devin Skyped me really, really sick. And you never made it there, but Xavier, you did, right? Mm-hmm. What was that like? Did it live up to your expectations, or was it like a letdown, or was it positive?
I didn't really enjoy it as much as I thought it was. I thought it was going to be some beautiful place because it's one of the 7 wonders of the world. And I got there, and it was really touristy, and there was just, everything was really expensive. And yeah, it was a giant mountain that you had to climb, and the walk was pretty hard, strenuous. And we got lost a couple times, but
I wouldn't want to get lost there.
Yeah.
But that's so funny because it was like that. Devin and I went to Australia and we went to the Great Barrier Reef, and it's also one of the 7 wonders of the world, and I was so blown away with how commercial it was. It was a 6-hour boat ride, and it was like going to Disney World in the sense of
crazy.
It was so commercial. I couldn't believe it.
It wasn't as bad once we got to the dock thing, I don't think. I don't remember it being that bad once we actually got there.
But it was just like Disney. They like take your photos while you're underwater and like want to sell them to you. And all the coral was bleached completely. It wasn't colorful at all because of all the tourists. And it was due to, from what I understood and researched, the sunblock. All the sunblock that people wear. You guys have no idea, those of you that are listening, how damaging sunblock is for yourself and the environment. All the chemicals. We never use sunblock in our family. We use coconut oil or cover up if it's super sunny. So
I just don't do anything. I don't care. My skin will get strong.
Well, it's hard to even like worry about that right now with 6 months of snow.
Yeah.
But I'll take a sunburn any day over this. But yeah, do some research on sunblock. It's crazy, but the chemicals in the sunblock have bleached the coral and damaged it and killed so much of it that what you think the Great Barrier Reef is, it really is no more, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've even heard a theory about sunblock that, like, people say sun exposure causes skin cancer, but really it could be sunblock and all the harmful chemicals are going into your pores because your pores open up when it gets hot out.
I don't believe that sun can give you cancer. I mean, I'm sure it can, but I don't think it does as much as people think it does. I mean, we're designed to be naked outside in the sun all the time.
Right, exactly. I agree, and some of the other theories that kind of go along with that are like Christina and I doing the raw food information and educating people about living foods and how important living foods are, that when you're eating a lot of foods that are laden with chemicals and toxins, I mean, your skin becomes really vulnerable. That when you eat mostly raw foods, your skin is totally different, and it really can handle, and you have a natural sun protection, and you really can handle those rays, those sun rays, unlike when you have a really kind of bad diet. So eat clean and you won't burn. Hey, I should like make a bumper sticker.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd sell it well around here though, because we don't get it. Maybe Florida would sell well.
I don't think people would get it just by reading it though.
Yeah, true. So you guys are kind of pioneers to me. The two of you have advocated in your own way. So you are the typical unschooler on the one hand, and then on the other hand, you're not, because you've both been advocates for as long as I've known you. You've been on kids panels talking about unschooling. Devin, you've been on TV and interviews, dozens of interviews where you really advocate and believe in this life. What is it like for you guys to be living something so different? Does it feel special, or do you feel like outcast? Like, do you feel different, or do you not even think about things like that?
I don't really think about things like that.
I don't either. I feel pretty normal. Like, I guess when you think about it, I don't feel normal.
I feel normal until I go out and talk to people and stuff.
Like, until you go to a girly sleepover and they're all gossiping and you don't even care.
Yeah. I can't agree with that because I've never been to a girly sleepover, but
I think the trust that you guys have from your parents is pretty interesting. Of course, I'm the parent, so again, it feels weird to talk about it, but the trust that I have for Devin is really different. You know, when we were kids, we had to keep the bedroom door open if there were boys over. I mean, now unschoolers, we're totally supportive and trust our kids that we have sleepovers and it doesn't matter to us where the kids are sleeping because we trust them. And we know that they are good people and they're not going to do anything that's dangerous or that they're not ready for. And if they're planning on it, they come to us. They let us know, hey, I need some information or resources. Have you guys always felt open enough to talk to your parents about sex, drugs, and rock and roll?
Rock and roll?
It's just a saying. I know. It's my old lady saying. You don't know that saying. So.
I know it.
I know it too. I just...
Who doesn't?
Sex, drugs, and heavy metal.
You like metal, so...
I know. Like, I'm so glad that I have one child that does it. Although I do love Tiffany's music. Tiff's, like, really into a lot of pop culture, and oh my gosh, I was so against pop culture, and I hated everything like that until my daughter had a love for it. And then I would see this music and her love for it as an extension of her, and I just learned to really like it. We took the girls to go see the band Little Mix, who they're a really popular band in the UK. They were on X Factor, kind of like One Direction was, and I just become inspired by their work. But anyway, so Devin, you're into heavy metal. You like System of a Down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like a lot of kind of...
It's like weird music.
I like weird music.
What was the video you showed me? It was like just really, I mean, not even weird, but just utter creative. I'm like, where did you find this?
I don't know where I found it. I don't know where I found any of that music. I don't remember any of the band names. I just have them all written down because they're all like really indie bands. And I don't even know. I just have all their songs downloaded and I listen to them. I'm not one of those people who's like, I love this band. I just listen to music that I like, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, I hear you. What about you, Xavier? What kind of music?
I'm really into punk music and alternative music. My favorite bands are Nirvana and Soundgarden and Pearl Jam and just stuff like that. I don't like pop culture or pop music at all.
Well, you have siblings that do, Devin. You have two little sisters. Does it drive you crazy?
It's moderate torture.
So those of you that think that there's sunshine and rainbows and unicorns flying in our living room every day, that's not true.
I don't think people think that unicorns aren't real, though.
Well, there is sibling rivalry. There are issues. And how do we deal with those as parents? Well, we try to help our kids and be their voice. But the truth is that nature wants them to work things out between them. So Devin and Tiffany are definitely probably the ones that fight the most because they're very different. However,
I never yell.
What?
I never yell. She always yells.
You think so? So actually one of the more recent kind of issues that you guys have had is you want to be a homesteader. You want to hunt, and you think that it's the most, like, why do you think it's more humane to, like, hunt an animal and kill it rather than purchasing it?
Well, because, not only can I have meats that are, I mean, exotic isn't the right word, but I mean,
native.
I don't think a lot of people eat, like, venison and stuff like that. That's not a common thing. You know, it's chicken, beef, and pork. Those are the three that people eat, and there's nothing really else, like, that's common, you know, and, I feel like, even buying free-range meat is not at all the same as hunting because, they're still farmed and they're still, what's the word?
They're like not in their natural environment.
Yeah, hunting is the primitive way to do it, and I think that's the right way to do it.
And you said sustainable before, that you really wanted to have chickens this year, and ideally you'd love to have goats and pigs and like have a whole homestead.
And solar panels and wind things.
Devin's the one that, like, I don't ever really feel shame or like anything negative about myself, but Devin pushes me to be better and better every day. Like, why are you using that much of this? Or why are you wasting this? Why aren't you saving things this way? You're extremely conscious of the environment and resources. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I just always kind of have been. Just who I am. I don't know.
I know, isn't it hard when you don't really know the answer? Because, I mean, sometimes you don't really think about it, and I don't know why you are the way you are either, other than you've just been always a really caring, sensitive individual. The first time we went to Australia, you kind of started this trend where the day before we were leaving, you, like, walked along the beach with a trash bag. I mean, you could have done anything. Instead, you chose to encourage everybody to go clean up this beach.
I forgot about that, yeah.
It was just so sweet.
So long ago.
It's always been kind of ingrained. So what about you, Xavier? Let me just finish one little story. So Devin and Tiffany's vegan, and she has her own strong beliefs about animal rights, and that it's not necessary to kill animals to stay alive and eat food. And both of the kids have such powerful philosophical beliefs that they stand behind. So as a parent, for me to hold the space for all of those beliefs and allow them to work it out, It's been amazing and challenging at times because I want to facilitate Devin's interest in homesteading. I truly would love to have animals and allow him to do what he wants to do with them, but at the same time I want to honor my daughter and the fact that she respects them. So I don't need to be bombarded with emails and messages for animal rights or sustainability or anything on one way or the other because I honor my children's rights and freedoms and beliefs both ways. However, yeah, we're kind of dealing with that right now. But once you're already planning on moving out, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm gonna somewhere to find some property and buy property without any structures on it. I want to have a water source and pretty much it. I don't want to be able to see any neighbors. I don't want to be able to hear any roads. And I'm just going to find a nice area and I'm going to build my house that I have not designed yet, surprisingly.
Well, I'm sure you will. You have a girlfriend named Destiny. It's the one that you went on strike, cleaning strike, and wiped up on the big rock and you refused to clean. How long have you and Destiny been together?
About a year and a half or so.
I think people are really surprised when they hear that you've been together with somebody for so long, and you guys have like long-term plans. You like want to be married and have a family. I don't think that that's really that common. And I mean, would you guys? Let me ask you this question: do you want to unschool your own kids?
Yes, I do. I definitely do.
And what about you, Xavier? You had said before that
kids. I don't want to have any kids. I don't think now. Obviously not now, but I mean, like, in the future.
Right? Like, why is that? I'd love to hear if you can articulate it. Like, why?
I don't really know. I've just never really wanted to.
Kids are hard.
Yeah. How do you know that?
I've had siblings, Mom.
Yeah.
I mean, Ryan's only 6. I mean, I was like 10 or 9 when he was born. I know how he's been. I know how all the other kids have been, so...
It's a lot of work, but you still want to do it. You and Destiny will be awesome parents. Do you think that you'll have home births? And
yeah.
It's pretty interesting. I know that all my kids will make different choices, but I love that a side effect of us making the choices we've had, that we've empowered our children to look through alternatives, for sure. So, awesome. Like, your mom, Xavier, is a surrogate. How many times has she, which I think is awesome. I love that about Christina. It's the first thing that totally intrigued me and attracted me to her as a friend is when I heard that she did something so beautiful. How many times has she been a surrogate?
She has a set of twins in Norway and one baby in Australia and a set of twins in Boston.
And she's
3 times.
She's hoping to do it again.
Yeah, she's planning on doing a 4th one like next month, I think.
What do you think of a mom that's made these choices? I mean, those are pretty radical, amazing choices for her.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's allowed me to travel a lot and get to know a lot of other people, and now it's like I have extended family. That it's really cool because she has babies for gay couples, and so it's really cool to have like 2 other sort of gay dads that are kind of my dad's, not really.
Yeah, they're like uncles or something.
Yeah, they're like uncles.
Did you actually go to Norway?
No, they came here.
I was gonna say that'd be really cool.
Scandinavia is really awesome. I've been to Sweden a couple times, and I absolutely loved it. Actually, you know what? Visiting Sweden as a teen is one way in which I was completely inspired to parent this way, because the family I was staying with was very much in partnership, and I loved it. I mean, they weren't without their challenges raising a teenager, but they were really respectful. He was never punished, and so forth. So, yeah, Scandinavia is a place to go. You should go visit your little.
Yeah.
See a little extended
You go, and I really want to go there.
I think we're going to like get together again because now I think they're like 5 years old, and I haven't seen them since they were born. I think we're gonna get together soon.
So unschoolers learn from living life on their own terms. They learn by pursuing their passions, but not only that, but being in partnership while your parents are pursuing their passions. So you've learned so much as a side effect of your mother going through these processes. And you've seen a lot. Have you been at the births?
Yeah, I was just at her most recent one. It sounds like she has a lot of them, but
she's on the 4th surrogacy. She does, girl.
I was just at her, the one that the baby she just had, and it was really like, I don't know, like it's not like births on TV. Obviously, it's not as dramatic, but it's still really dramatic. And I took pictures of most of it, but the doctors didn't let me take pictures of all of it.
Yeah, that's a great thing about the home birth. You could have a whole film crew.
Yeah.
Not that you'd want to. My last birth was It was pretty much me alone laboring. I didn't want a lot of people in the room, so I preferred the privacy aspect. But have you seen your siblings be born? Or you've been in the house when Orion was born, you were here.
I went to sleep in one room and I woke up in another one and I was like, what? And Dad was like, I moved you. Mom's giving labor in the room you sleep.
You're giving labor.
Giving birth. And it happened like right when I woke up. It was like 5 minutes after I woke up. I didn't actually see it. I didn't see any of them.
But you were there like right after.
Yeah.
So, yeah, to you, birth is just another day.
Yeah.
I think, Mom's giving birth again, okay.
5 minutes or so.
Okay, so guys, I can't believe this interview went by so quick. We were worried about not having enough time. Really I know, it's awesome, and I love having you guys here. So again, you get 5 more minutes. People, if anyone's interested in calling, feel free to call in. If not, we are happy to just share more about our lives. So do you guys plan for your future? Like when you think about your futures, what are your thoughts? Because people ask you guys that a lot, right?
Yeah.
I already kind of went into that.
You did, Devon. We heard the homesteading, marriage, home birth, building your own house goal.
A lot of people ask me about if I'm going to college recently, which is really weird because I've never even thought of it. It's not really in my realm of thinking.
Yeah.
But I kind of plan to, once I get old enough to live on my own, which I'm like old enough now, but I don't really want to yet. But I'm probably I want to live in a house in like California or somewhere cool like that. And I want to live with a bunch of my artist friends, and I want to live with Nev, and we're going to have like a studio downstairs. So
that's awesome. Yeah, Nev is so sweet. A little shout out to Nev. And where does she live? Ohio?
Yeah.
Yeah, to Nev in Ohio. We can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks at
She's
the Life.
Oh,
is she? Awesome. Hey, Nev. We are going to see you in a couple of weeks. We have a conference coming up for those of you that are interested in learning about this life. I think attending a conference is one of the best ways for like a reluctant partner, for example, to learn about this life, because philosophically I'm sure it makes sense to a lot of people, and maybe people have misconceptions about what unschoolers are like. They think that you all look like hippies, and I'm sure we have our fair share of hippies, and we all have a little hippie in us in some way, shape, or form, but where everybody's different that chooses to unschool. It doesn't look the same in each home, and we have artists, creative people. We have doctors and lawyers. We have every background and profession attend these events. These kids are amazing, and what they all have in common is that they are free. They're incredible learners. They know how to learn. They're all very, very happy, and generally nobody has labels. Labels are of no use. ADD, ADHD, all these labels, attention deficit disorder, ADD, and so forth are kind of something that we are moving away from as unschooling families. We don't want these labels. I really believe that a lot of kids are drugged unnecessarily. So if you're looking for alternatives to that kind of life, come check us out at the Life Rocks Conference. The website is liferocksconference.blogspot.com. You can check out our upcoming conference in North Conway, June 2nd through the 6th. It's 3 nights of just hanging out with unschoolers, some informative sessions about unschooling and peaceful partnership parenting. There'll be tons of events for kids. We have a family dance with a DJ, and we have a talent show. I always get so moved by the talent show every year, seeing these kids, what they're capable of. What is the funnest aspect of the conferences for you guys? You guys look forward to it so much every year.
I don't know, just being able to see my friends I have friends all over the country, being able to see them in one place is awesome.
These kind of events are so great for parents, too, to connect, because a lot of us are loners on this path. We have friends from all different backgrounds, but it's so nice just to get together with your tribe and just reaffirm all these choices that you've made and why. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in and thank you so much, Shannon, for being a guest on our show earlier, and Devin and Xavier, thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad you're on, and if anybody wants to connect with Xavier, please do so through Facebook, and please friend me on Facebook, connect with me. I post pictures regularly of our family and what we're up to, and please subscribe to this video if you're watching us on YouTube, and I'll see you next week. Thank you, everybody.